What if I told you that this very moment, this exact second, is not just a coincidence? What if I told you it's not random at all, but guided by destiny's quiet pull? What if right now you are standing at a turning point, one you've been heading toward your whole life, and this message is the shift you've been needing? You didn't come across this by luck. You were meant to hear it because something inside you is tired of the silence, tired of drifting, and tired of waiting. And that deep part of you, your higher self, reached out. It drew this message into your path because it knows you're ready. You might not feel like you're ready. Doubt may still try to pull you back. But readiness isn't about how you feel, it's about the choice you make. And today, you choose. This isn't just some speech. It's a divine interruption, a powerful meeting between the person you've been and the person you're becoming. And if you stay with me, not half-heartedly, not distracted, but fully tuned in, it can shift the direction of your life. But I need to be honest with you. This change won't come from hearing it once. It will come through what you say over and over again. Because repetition is what shapes your thinking. Your subconscious, the ground where results grow, doesn't move because of a burst of motivation. It responds to repeated words spoken with belief until they sink deep into your mind and replace every false belief you used to accept as truth. So I ask you, don't just hear this speech, study it. Say it again and again. Let it live inside you. Let these words be the new way you think and speak within. The greatest people I've studied, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Charles Schwab, Abraham Lincoln, they all had one thing in common. They mastered their inner voice. They repeated their beliefs until fear had no space left. Ford once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Why? Because belief repeated becomes belief installed, and belief installed becomes your future. So if you want to be the man you're meant to be, this speech can't be something you hear once. It must become the sound you play on the toughest days, the energy you rise with in the morning, the direction you follow when life gets quiet. Most importantly, it becomes the flame you return to again and again until it's your own. This isn't just for motivation, this is your reprogramming. And if you stay with me until the end, the person who walks away from this won't be the same person who started. Because today we're not just talking about change, we are stepping into it. There's a voice inside you that never fully goes away. It doesn't yell, it doesn't argue, but it speaks softly, patiently, and it tells you that you were made for more. Even when you cover it with excuses, noise, and routine, it doesn't die, it waits. It whispers, and today it's speaking louder because something in you is starting to wake up. Not just because you're tired of fear or delay, but because the voice inside you is done being ignored. I've spent years studying the most successful people this world has known. Not men born with greatness, but men who created it. Henry Ford, raised on a farm, surrounded by doubt, and without any grand education, still had the courage to build something huge. Why? Because he listened to that voice. He once said, "I'm looking for men who have an endless ability to ignore what people say can't be done." And it starts with one simple thing, trusting that voice inside more than the outside world. The world will always give you a reason to hold back, to wait, to doubt. It'll dress fear as logic and hesitation as wisdom. But that voice within, it doesn't care what others think. It cares only about one thing, the person you were created to become. And until you move, until you choose, that voice will stay unsettled. I believe you feel it now. That's why you're still listening, because deep down, you're done sleepwalking through life. You're tired of repeating the same old day. You've tried distractions, you tried comfort, you tried stalling, and yet the whisper remains. It says, I'm not finished yet. I'm not this version of myself. There's more for me. And I won't leave this world with my song still inside. Do you know how rare that is? Do you realize how many people silence that voice forever? They drown it in seeking approval, in staying lazy, in always waiting. They learn to live with just getting by. But not you. Not anymore. Because this moment, this message, is a face-to-face meeting between the man you were and the man who is rising. And the man rising has no time for surface-level goals or dreams that belong to someone else. He doesn't want applause. He doesn't need ease. He is after real change. That's why you need to play this message over and over. The voice that brought you here needs daily strength. It must be fed every day. If not, the world will drown it again. But if you do feed it, if you speak to it with clarity and fire, it will become the strongest voice in your head. And once that happens, the world no longer gets to define who you are. Andrew Carnegie once said to me, "A man's thought, spoken with belief and repeated with discipline, becomes the rule of his life." That's not poetry. That's truth. So let this become your new truth. Speak this voice, repeat it. Let these words guide your mornings and anchor your nights. Let your new belief bury the old version of you, because this is the real battle. Not against others, not against the world, but against the part of you that still believes the lie that you're not ready. You are ready, not because you feel it, but because you've made the choice. And power always begins with choice. You are led here for a reason. Now you must become the reason. Let's go deeper. In every man's life, there's a moment that divides the story. Before the choice and after it. Not a half-hearted choice. Not one made out of convenience, but a choice so strong, so complete, that everything before it begins to blur like a dream, and everything after becomes as clear as a flame. You're standing in that moment now. The moment where the person you've been must step aside for the person you've chosen to be. The world calls it change, but the builders I've studied, the giants, they knew better. They called it identity. And identity begins where hesitation stops. Charles M. Schwab, the man Andrew Carnegie trusted to run an empire, wasn't always the smartest in the room. He didn't have the most degrees. He didn't wait around debating before planting seeds. He moved. He acted. He chose. And because he acted when others paused, spoke when others stayed silent, and committed when others froze, he became irreplaceable. Why? Because he understood something few ever learn, that being decisive isn't just a habit. It's a message to your mind. It tells your subconscious, this is who I am now. And when that message is sent with full belief, your mind begins the work of making it real. But what happens when you don't decide? Fear grows, doubt slips in like smoke under a door, you start asking safe questions, you shrink your dreams, you wait for someone to approve your steps instead of walking in strength, and suddenly you're not living, you're rehearsing how to stay the same. So let me ask you, what choice have you been putting off? Is it the choice to speak up boldly, to lead with strength, to leave spaces that drain your energy, to stop apologizing for the fire that won't leave you? Because every day you delay that choice, you teach your mind that settling is okay, that this halfway life is enough. But let me be very clear, you can't wait to be sure and still expect something great. Certainty doesn't come first, it comes after the choice. That's why Henry Ford, when told an 8-cylinder engine couldn't be made, told his team, build it anyway. And when they failed, he said again, build it anyway. Not because he was stubborn, but because he had already chosen. And that one decision pulled the future into reality. That's how real power works. It doesn't tiptoe, it doesn't debate, it doesn't need approval, it just chooses. And because it chooses, everything starts to shift around it. You say you want a breakthrough, then choose it. Not with just emotion, but with finality. Say it out loud, not as a wish, but as a command. I have already chosen. I do not wait. I do not drift. I do not explain. Because the man who pauses trains his mind to believe his word means nothing. But the man who acts without hesitation teaches his mind to obey. And when your mind believes you are the one in charge, fear loses its grip. Let me remind you, Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he was patient. He He did it because he never gave up. Every failure was not a sign to stop, but a reason to push forward. He'd already seen the end. He was just walking toward it. And that's what I want for you. No more wondering. No more asking. No more pacing with a heavy heart. You are the change. Right now is the dividing line. On one side, every doubt, delay, and false story. On the other, the man who doesn't fold, doesn't flinch, and doesn't wait for permission. Let that man rise. Let him speak. Let him take action. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a pattern. And that pattern starts with movement. Every step you take teaches your mind, I follow through. That becomes who you are, and who you are becomes where you're going. So from now on, decide quickly, act boldly, commit completely. No more floating, no more waiting, no more maybe. That voice in you has waited long enough. It's time to say, this is who I am now, and I do not turn back. He wasn't the best at math or the most talented engineer, but he was the most steady. He showed up early. He stayed focused. He expected greatness, not just from others, but from himself first. He led by being present, by being clear, by being committed. People didn't just follow him because he had charm. They followed him because his discipline made him solid, dependable. He was the kind of man who said what he would do and then followed through. Can you say the same about yourself? Are you someone who keeps their promises when no one is watching? Or do you wait until you feel inspired, until someone notices, until you get applause? Here's a truth that most people avoid. If you only act when it feels easy, you're not in charge. Your emotions are. You're letting your surroundings steer you. You're not grounded. But a man with discipline acts no matter how he feels. He gets up early not because he enjoys it, but because his goal demands a head start. He speaks about his vision not to get support, but to build belief. He repeats his actions not because he's weak, but because he knows that's how strength is made. Do you think Thomas Edison only worked when he was inspired? No. He built labs, not for comfort, but for routine. He didn't wait for creativity to just show up. He followed systems. He trained his team. He filled notebook after notebook with trials, errors, and experiments. He worked like a man obsessed with mastery. 10,000 failures couldn't stop him. Why? Because discipline was his foundation. And fear can't live in a mind that's built on discipline. Fear needs disorder. It needs chaos. It feeds on inconsistency. Fear grows when you treat your mission like a hobby. But discipline suffocates fear. It doesn't give fear space to live. Here's what you need to understand. If you don't shape your day with clear purpose, then your day will be shaped by drift. If you don't control your time, your fear will. You need to decide now how your days will go, what you'll say, what you'll do, what you'll stop accepting, because unless your daily habits match your true beliefs, your results will keep reflecting your old self. Let me ask you this. I once asked the young men I coached, if someone watched you for 24 hours and they couldn't hear you speak, only see what you do, would they know your purpose? Could they guess what you're working toward? Would your actions speak louder than your silence? If the answer is no, then it's time to rebuild. And rebuilding doesn't happen in your head. It happens in what you do every single day. Every morning, before the world gets loud, you get up, you say your goal out loud, you picture your future with energy, you plan your moves with intention, and you take action, not later, not when it feels right, but now, with no delay, no debate, no need for motivation. This isn't a punishment. It's not a grind. It's freedom, real freedom. Because discipline is the only kind of freedom a man can truly earn. The kind that protects your mind and body from being ruled by fear. Abraham Lincoln, during the toughest moments of the Civil War, didn't let chaos control his decision. He moved calmly with purpose and discipline. He read, he wrote, he walked alone. He carried a nation not by noise, but by stillness. That's discipline at its highest level. And now, it's your turn. Not to copy these men, but to live by the same principle. To walk forward with discipline into a version of yourself that fear can't shake. Stop waiting for the storm to pass. Start training in the storm. Stop waiting to be motivated. Become the kind of man who doesn't need motivation. This isn't for the crowd. This is for you. Say this out loud. I am not controlled by my feelings. I am guided by my decisions. I don't drift. I choose. My daily actions create my strength. My discipline is who I am. And don't say it once or twice. Say it every single day. Let this part of the message be the mirror you look into when you feel like taking it easy, when you're tempted to skip the hard stuff, when you start making excuses. Because the man who repeats this truth, the man who lets discipline shape his life, becomes impossible to break, impossible to slow down, impossible to scare. Let's keep going. Everything you are today, your confidence, your hesitation, your fears, your ambition, it's all been shaped by one thing. Not luck, not genes, not fate. Repetition. You've repeated certain thoughts so many times they became who you are. You've said certain things over and over until they became your voice. You've done certain things again and again until they became your identity. If those thoughts came from doubt, if those words were full of fear, if those actions came from hesitation, what do you think you've become? Let's be clear, you are not your situation. You are your habits. And whatever you keep repeating, you're reinforcing. This isn't poetry. It's not theory, it's truth. Your subconscious, the part of your brain that controls your habits and reactions, it doesn't judge, it doesn't decide what's true or helpful. It simply obeys what it sees and hears most often and what it feels strongest about. That's why you can't afford to use careless words. You can't joke about your goals anymore. You can't play around with doubt. You must speak with power, act with power, repeat power until it becomes second nature. Let's go back to Henry Ford. He once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. What was he doing? Training his mind, programming his beliefs, not with some theory, but with repeated truth. Ford didn't say it just once, he lived it. He practiced it. He made sure his surroundings reflected it. His factories followed a clear rhythm. His vision for the Model T wasn't wishful thinking. It came from constant repetition in engineering and leadership and systems until something that seemed impossible became normal. Thomas Edison was the same. He didn't invent the light bulb because he was a genius. He invented it because he kept going no matter how many times he failed. 10,000 tries, and he kept moving forward because in his mind, the decision was already made, this will work. And you've already made the decision. When you've repeated that belief so many times that it becomes part of who you are, you don't act like someone who's unsure. You move like a builder. You stand like someone who knows where he's going. Because repetition creates rhythm. Rhythm shapes identity. Identity creates results. So what do you tell yourself when you're tired, when you're annoyed, when nobody's watching? That not your goals is your programming. You could have the biggest dream in the world, but if you keep repeating weakness, your subconscious will tear it down before you even get started. But if you start repeating strength, today, everything changes. Speak power even when you feel small. Move with purpose even when you're unsure. Hold yourself tall even when no one sees you, not because it feels natural, but because you're building a new natural. This is the step most men miss. They hear these ideas, they feel fired up, and then they go back to their old voice, their old habits, their old self. And they wonder why nothing changes. Let me make it clear. Change isn't emotional. It's not motivational. It's about repetition. You become what you say most often. You become what you practice most often. You become what you allow most often. So if you really want to rise up, to let go of fear, to become unrecognizable, you have to get serious about what you repeat. Every morning, I am focused. I am strong. I act quickly. I do not drift. I do not shrink. I do not need permission. I lead my thoughts. I lead my time. I lead my future. And every night, repeat it again, not because it's magic, but because it rewires how your mind works. Repetition is how the greatest men I studied built their power. Andrew Carnegie spoke his main goal every day and made others do the same. He knew the brain could be shaped. He trained belief like a skill. He never missed a day. This wasn't superstition. It was strategy. Like lifting weights at the gym builds muscle, repeating strong thoughts builds a powerful mind. Every word is a rep. So be careful. Be focused. Stop telling weak stories. Stop using phrases that make fear your partner. Stop letting random thoughts design your life. Say this right now with strength. I repeat what I want to become. My thoughts are orders, not suggestions. I don't practice fear. I install faith. That's the work. Not once, not just when you feel good, not just when life is quiet. Every day, this speech, the one you're reading right now, is not just words, it's a mirror. It will only change you if you keep coming back, repeating, installing, living it. The biggest breakthroughs of my life and the lives of the men I studied didn't come from hearing truth once. They came from repeating it until there was no room left for anything else. So go back to the beginning, not later. Now read it again. Speak it out loud. Let it shape your walk, your breath, your silence. You're not weak. You've just been repeating weakness. But from now on, you'll only repeat strength. Now let's go deeper into the next level of strength. He didn't wait for a flash of certainty before inventing the light bulb. He tried, he failed, then tried again, over and over, 10,000 times. He didn't wait for a promise of success. He acted again and again until it finally worked. And that, my friend, is the real secret. The men you admire, the ones who built empires, the ones who changed the world, they weren't fearless. They just got tired of sitting still. Abraham Lincoln could have waited. He could have postponed the Emancipation Proclamation until the war had clearly turned in the Union's favor, until the politics were more stable, until the critics had gone quiet. But he didn't. He wrote it, he said it, he stepped forward. Why? Because he understood the cause was more important than his comfort. He knew that history wouldn't remember the man who stalled. It would only remember the man who decided. And now I bring that mirror to you. How much longer will you wait? Wait for the perfect moment? Wait for your mood to change? Wait for someone to give you permission? Let me give you something more valuable. Authority. Not given by another person, not handed down by an organization, but claimed by you, declared by you, practiced by you. You give it to yourself? Say it. Now, I don't wait for perfect timing. I create the timing. I don't wait for fear to go away. I take action anyway. My life is built on choices, not on delays. Let it grow roots in your spirit, because the man who acts without waiting becomes untouchable. While others pause, he creates. While others freeze, he steps forward. While others fear regret, he becomes the kind of man who never feels it. Remember this, there is no strength in potential, strength is in progress. Your ideas won't create your future, your actions will. And action begins the moment you stop asking, am I ready? And start declaring it's time. Let me say that again because repeating the truth is powerful. You don't get ready by thinking, you get ready by doing. You don't become brave by waiting, you become brave by taking steps while you're scared, again and again, until fear can't keep up. This is your turning point, not because you feel different, but because you do something different. And when you look back years from now, you won't remember the excitement, you'll remember the decision. The moment you chose motion over comfort, the moment you declared, I don't wait, I act. Say it now. I move first. I move fast. I do not hesitate, and then prove it. Today, not later, right now, because the man who acts in the face of fear becomes someone fear can no longer touch. Let's go deeper now into the next core truth that completes this transformation. the one that turns action into destiny. Let's talk about purpose. What happens when a man aligns every move with a mission greater than himself? There is a force more powerful than fear, stronger than failure, even stronger than pain. It's the one thing that keeps a man standing tall when life gets hard, when others doubt him, when the path is long and his spirit feels tired. That force is purpose. You see, fear only lives where there's no direction. When a man lacks a true mission, he gets distracted easily. He's easily shaken, guided by moods and emotions. But when purpose is burning strong inside him, fear has no place to stay. Purpose burns it up. Hear me. Willpower alone won't beat fear. You beat fear by falling so deeply in love with your mission that fear doesn't even matter anymore. That's what every great man I ever studied understood. Andrew Carnegie didn't go from poverty to becoming the richest man in America just by chasing money. No, he carried a mission to bring steel to every corner of the country, to build up a nation, to leave a mark that would live beyond his name. He once told me, "Mr. Hill, a man without a mission is already beaten." That statement changed everything for me. From that moment on, I realized purpose isn't just a nice thought. It's the engine of the mind. It's the fuel for belief. It kills fear. Carnegie's mission was so powerful that even when everything went wrong, market crashes, political pushback, public doubt, none of it could stop him, because he wasn't just reacting to life, he was shaping it. And you have to do the same. The average man changes his mind constantly. One day he wants greatness. The next day he wants ease. 1 month he's driven. The next he's distracted. And he wonders why fear always catches him. But purpose holds a man steady in the fire. Thomas Edison had one mission: to control electricity and bring light to the world. He wasn't dabbling, he wasn't testing the waters. He made a decision. And that choice carried him through 10 zero failures. So let me ask you, what are you willing to fail at 10 zero times? Because unless your mission is that deep, fear will win. Edison's mission made him immune to doubt. Each failure wasn't a stop sign. It was just another step forward. That is what it looks like when a man is filled with purpose. Now let's talk again about Lincoln. He didn't lead during calm times. He led during war, during division, during loss and pain. And still, he didn't falter. Why? Because he had purpose, a single, clear aim to hold the Union together and end the deep wrong of slavery. He could have waited, he could have made deals, he could have taken the easy path, but he didn't. Because his mission made fear too small to stop him. You must find your own mission now. I don't mean a soft dream. I mean a clear sentence. One aim. One reason for living, so powerful, so connected to your true self that it becomes the filter through which you see every day, every choice, every move. Write it down, speak it out loud, repeat it often, then shape your life around it. When you wake up in the morning, don't ask, what should I do today? Ask, what will move me closer to my mission? You are not here to coast. You are not here to float. You are not here just to make it through. You are here to build. Say it now. My life is guided by purpose. My energy has direction. My actions are intentional. Say it again. I don't stall. I live with a mission. That's how you make your mind resistant to fear. You don't just fight fear, you replace it. You give your mind something stronger to hold on to. That's the key. A mind without direction will always find fear, but a focused mind, now that mind becomes unstoppable. Let me tell you about Charles M. Schwab. He wasn't born the smartest man in steel, but he carried purpose like a shield. That's why Carnegie picked him, not for talent, but for his clarity. When Schwab talked to his team, he didn't just give orders, he gave belief. He spoke from purpose. That's what made him a leader. That's what made him unshakable.